Hello and welcome to the Toy Thor. You find us today in the workshop, and this is my little sanctuary. Sorry about the bright lights behind me, but this is my little hideaway, my hermit hole, as you might say, if you were so inclined. I'm just going to show you a little project I'm just about to start. I've recently got into customizing and painting some of our military vehicles, especially when they're really tatty. So I'm going to quickly turn the camera around and show you what we're about to be on with. This is it. It's the Cherylee motorcycle sidecar. I recently featured this on an unboxing that we did, and it had a gun that was missing, and then we found the gun in the rest of the packaging. And yeah, it's in a bit of a tired, sorry state. The star locks are all rusty. The stickers are all in the wrong place. It's fairly scratched up and banged up. The body is a bit loose from the sidecar. So what I'm going to attempt to do is turn this into a Afrika Korp motorcycle sidecar combination. So we're going to use desert sand paint with camo paint. We're going to age it up a little bit. We're going to make it a little bit lighter than some of the other stuff we do. You've not seen this, but this is one of the Cherylee Viper tanks that I recently completed, and it came out really well. It's ostensibly aimed for the deserts and the Afrika Korp, but it's a fairly generic cream beige green colour camo. And I want to go for something that's just a little more notable than that. So this is it as we stand, and I will cut into the video as we progress with things further down the line. Wish me luck. For you, a few seconds. For me, probably an hour or two. So here we are down to our component parts. It's pulled apart really easy, to be fair. Always a little bit sticky getting the handlebars off. Because the plastic's usually moulded on quite tight, but a little bit of WD-40 and they popped off. The star locks, you just got to really take your time so you're not damaging the plastic underneath them. I use a flat-headed small screwdriver, but I put tape around the edge or the end of it, just so that it's not digging in sharply to the plastic. And as you can see, all of these star locks are a mess. Now I'm going to clean these up and reuse them, but if yours are beyond that, then you can go to Vaman, V-A-M-A-N, Vaman on eBay, and they do a fantastic range of star locks for most of the vehicles that come for vintage action men. So I'm going to get all of this cleaned down now, get it all de-stickered. We'll clean it up with some panel wipe, and then I'll be using a clear primer basically for them. It's a plastic primer that you use on cars, and I'll be using that on all the areas that I'm painting. I'm seriously considering doing the back of the engine block in a matte black and just leaving the rest of the accents the silvery colour, the aluminium colour, but just touching them in here and there. So it's going to look quite weathered, but yeah, hopefully it'll come out quite well. Okay, I'll speak to you when there's another little bit done. Okay, so we're all de-stickered. I've sanded down the areas that had damage. I've cleaned up some of the blow mold marks. As you can see, I've cleaned up all of the star locks, and everything has been prepared with a panel wipe, and it's now ready to be primered. And I use a clear plastic primer on the bits that I'm painting, and other bits obviously won't be painted, they'll just be cleaned up. So that's where we're at. Back in a few seconds. So we now have all of this in the clear plastic primer. It's a bugger because you can't really see that it's gone on that well, but the plastic primer adheres any of the acrylic or the oil paints to the plastic without it cracking and splitting. So because we're doing this in Afrika Korp colours, which are the light desert tan, what I'm going to now do is go over it with another primer, but I'm going to use a white primer for vehicles, because that will adhere to the plastic primer that we've already put on. So it's effectively the same way as if you were painting the bumper on a car. You make sure you seal the plastic in first before you add the top coat of normal paint and then lacquer. So join me back when I've done that, and it'll look like an Arctic Explorer's bike for a while. Okay, so that's us all in white primer. It's really important if you're doing this, and I'm not trying to teach any of you how to suck eggs or anything, but just try go for easy, smooth, long coats, not heavy, just nice and thin, and go for several coats rather than one big thick one that can run. Just keep passing it over in long, slow movements. Each time I passed over the body of that sidecar, it took me about 3 or 4 seconds, and then I stopped spraying and then moved slowly back again in that motion. Don't want to make any of you feel seasick. So, but yeah, it's really important that you get a lovely, level, smooth finish for your primer, because that will affect how well your top coat goes on. I've not decided yet whether I'm going to weather this too heavily over the body. I'll probably just be weathering the wheels and the mud guards and things like that. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Join me shortly for the top coat. And that's where the fun begins, really, because it depends how that comes out as to whether or not we weather this thing up an awful lot, or whether we keep it looking really smart and nice. And well, we'll decide from there, but you'll be with me for that journey. Cheers. So this is us with the paint laid down, and this has been about 5 or 6 different coats. It's come out really well. I'm really happy with the colour. It's a desert sand colour by a firm called Colour It. I've not used it before, but it's a really good basis for what we're looking to do. I've mainly used it over white, but 1 or 2 areas I wanted darker, so I put on a grey primer as well. So you'll see that some areas have a bit more depth to them than others. The seats I'm going to be painting in leather brown anyway, so they're going to have detail, and they'll be leather brown on the sides. And then what I've done is I've just literally touched in some accents for the engine. It's always hard to know what to do with that backing plate that says Shirley Toys on it, because do you cut it away? Do you paint it in matte black? It doesn't matter what you do with it, it looks like a big slab of plastic. So really it's just about making the best of a bad job. That's the only thing that let it down, really, was what they did with that. So yeah, this is this stage. Next it's going to be some accents and weathering, and I'll fill you in once I've done those bits. Okay, so we've got to this bit. So that's the top coats on. What I've done is I've accentuated the spokes and the rims, and I've accentuated the seat, tried to make it look a little bit leather worn. Put a latch on the door and just accentuated a little bit of rusty dust around the door. And then we've just added some black accents to some of the engine parts. I know a lot of guys paint this bit in black, and I understand that. However, I'm blessed with really shaky hands, so I'm not that brave. I'm really sorry. It would look shocking if I attempted to paint around all of that. So I'm going to leave it in its proper Shirley silver background like it should have. And then what we've done with the rest of the body, we've added the little BMW symbol, and I've again leathered the seat. So I've tried to make it look like old leather. I mean, obviously we can buy the brown covers for these, but I like the really dark mahogany looking leather, and I like it to look a little warm where the rider has probably been sitting astride it. So yeah, that's what we've done, and we've obviously accentuated the headlamp as well. So this is where I'm at. The next bit for me is adding some of the stickers and the transfers, and then I'm going to put the final build together. So join me for that, and then you can let me know what you all think. Right, back in a few seconds. And so we reach the final reveal. It's all built up, it's all been lacquered and protected, and had a few finishing touches, and I really hope you like what I've done so far. Bearing in mind this is only, well, this is my first time attempting a motorcycle and only my third time painting a 1/6 vehicle. So tell me what you think. Be brutally honest. No, don't be brutally honest. There we go. So what we've actually done is we've coloured it in sand. Desert sand is the colour, and then what I've done is I've touched in some highlights for the engine. I haven't gone all black with the background to it. I wanted to keep some originality. We've coloured in the spokes on the wheels, and then what I've done is I've painted in by hand different depths of brown onto the seat to give it that weathered leather look, because obviously it's out in the desert. So I've tried to lighten it where the rider would have been sitting the most and darken it in the areas that he wouldn't have been. We've then painted in the headlamp, one or two finishing touches around, and then just bringing you round to the passenger side. So we've got the gun set up with his ammo, and I've tried to accent the door a little bit to make it look like a door rather than just a tub, a bathtub on the side of the motorbike. And then we've gone for a flagpole. I'll just spin it round a touch so you can see that it's painted all the way through and inside. And that is us. I've even turned it into a BMW. And that's us, guys. That's us all finished, buttoned back up. I hope you enjoyed watching this and the process. I hope it's given you a bit of inspiration to do some on your own, or even just show off the stuff that you've got. But that's my way of getting a cheap Afrika Korp motorcycle sidecar combination. I don't think it'll be my last. Thanks for putting up with the process, and I'll catch you very soon. Cheers.